Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today I wanted to touch on kind of a continuation of what previous video I did, but I wanted it to be a little bit more singular focused on really what are the objectives of players, right? If you're a new player coming into this game, for any Kingdom Builder, but obviously specifically for CoD, what is your focus? What are your goals? What should you be striving for? That's what we're going to talk about today and have it be a little bit more focused on the long term, where we kind of pay, I don't want to say homage, but where we touch on parts in the early and the mid game. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell if you want to join and be a part of our conversation. And or the project that we're doing, right, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. You'll find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. Okay. So let me start off with, what is the objective for you as an individual, right? If I'm just coming in and I'm starting a brand new account, regardless of if I'm just going in as a solo player, if I'm going in as part of a group, if I'm going in, whether that's one alliance, multiple alliances, what is the overarching goal of an individual player for you to be able to enjoy the game to the utmost? And I'll tell you what that is. It is, and again, I hinted at this in a previous video, right? It's kind of looking at the game in a World of Warcraft type setting, where if you're just starting out in that game, right, what's the one thing you obviously hear a lot of? Well, you hear you need to get your account to max level, and then you'll be able to start enjoying more of the game. And I truly believe that is the same sense here, where if I really want to be able to enjoy my account, regardless of anything else that is going around, I need to be able to get to max building level. I need to get to max tech, right? Those are the two minimum requirements. And then number three is eventually working on maxing out VIP, right? Those are probably your three, for the most part, right, most important kind of baseline areas. And then you start getting into, okay, now I need to start, max starring out, max skill leveling out my heroes, right? Then that's probably number 4 that you would get to. But this is really important, and this is why, for the most part, and this is the thing, right? Even if you're in a kingdom, right, and this is really important, that is having nothing, but let's just say war. Like, let's just say you are in the worst possible place you could be to develop and grow an account. You can still develop and grow. You might not be able to do it to the max amount of potential. That could happen because if there's just, wild fighting and PvP that's going on in the kingdom, that may limit, because maybe it might be harder for you to gather. It might be harder for you to go out and spend your command points to go and hit Darklings and guards or do forts, right? Because maybe some players might be more focused on fighting than they are developing their accounts. You might have a situation where you're out there trying to farm and do PvE, Darkling hunting, if you will, and you just have players that are out there in the open field waiting for someone to come out to attack them. Right? This is like the worst of the worst case scenario. Now, I don't think we've seen a kingdom like that yet. An example of this would be, for those of you that played Infinity Kingdom, right? Kingdom 5 was extremely well known for being essentially just a battle royale kingdom. It was just 24/7, like 7-Eleven, doing nothing but just fighting all day, day, and no one was safe. Right? Like, you basically migrated to that kingdom to do nothing but fight. And they lasted, I think, over a year, from what I can recall. And it was glorious. I mean, my hat is off to them for what they were able to pull off in that situation. And I will always speak about that kingdom, because I don't know if there's another kingdom like that lasted as long as they did, that actually got players to migrate there because they were just known as a true war server. And that, at minimum, has to be respected for what they were able to do. And anyways, without going off on too much of a tangent, the point is that is the worst case scenario. That has yet to happen in Call of Dragons thus far. And this is why I say the importance, first and foremost, is getting your account to a state in which you can enjoy playing it. Now, how I like to look at it in that way is, well, once my account is at, all my buildings are 25, I have max tech, now I am not spending as many resources that are going out to different queues as much. And as I mentioned in a previous video, one of the things to really think about, and most players don't, unfortunately, but I guess it's just not the first thing that comes to mind, understandably so, is what are all the things that you're spending resources on, right? What's your outgoing versus your incoming, right? Not to say we need to get into financials, but an example is you have, like, what's everything you spend resources on? Well, you got 2 building queues. You got 2 research queues if you're able to get to VIP 8. You have training troops and healing troops, right? So you got 6 things that you are spending resources on. And you have the same baseline level of income, right? Eventually, once you get to that, right, nearing that max level, but really I think it's like 21, right, once you get your 5th Legion. So let's say that once you're at level 25, right, so then the question you have to ask yourself is, can I train, will I be able to train more or less troops and heal more or less troops on average if I reduce the amount of outgoing resources that I currently have? And the answer is yes. Once you get to level 25 and you max your tech, now you've gone from 6 to 2. And now all you have to do is focus on doing nothing but the war stuff, which is essentially training troops and healing. And so now it makes it a lot more easier for you to start enjoying more of the game because you're doing nothing but just focusing on pumping out armies, right? And PvP troops and units, and again, healing. And because of that, you are now able to be more efficient and effective when the time comes to actually fight. And as I mentioned before, right, this isn't necessarily me saying that, you don't need to fight. It's basically saying that this is if you're looking to enjoy the game to the fullest, understanding that it doesn't matter, right, what's, for the most part, right? I'm not saying don't go out and fight or don't go out and participate with your alliance, but it's just having this understanding that the faster you develop your account, the faster you max out your account on buildings and tech, the sooner you will be able to be that much more impactful when the PvP actually comes around, right? So again, if you're someone who's solo, right, you don't have any allegiances to anyone, you're just an alliance that's neutral, you guys aren't really participating in any wars, right? That's really the crowd, along with anyone who is not in a situation where, it's, kind of like, well, we have to kind of fight now, because if we don't fight, then we're going to lose out on the opportunity to get into a peaceful kingdom, or not even that, but like just get into an opportunity to where, we can basically freely develop. And that's important, right? Because you might get into a situation where, you're going into a kingdom as part of an alliance, but maybe other groups of alliances want to do nothing but just ravage. That's kind of a gut call where you then have to decide, well, okay, are we just going to remain neutral, hope we barely get attacked and we can still develop, or are we going to fight and be a part of a group that, or fight on our own if you're strong enough, or fight and be a part of a group, and hopefully if we win, we'll then be able to start freely developing, right? It's kind of picking and choosing, what you're going to do. But like I said, understanding that the most important part for you as an individual player is to do that. Like, if I could be in the best ideal situation, it would be to get into a kingdom on day 1, talk to all the leaders, have everyone come to a table and say, look, right, if we want everyone to be as happy as they possibly, like for me, part of my happiness is being able to reach all my buildings at 25, being able to get to max tech. That is an enjoyable struggle and grind. And then once I get there, working on my VIP next and training so I can have as many battle ready legions as possible, be able to replenish as much as I need to, and then I get to enjoy the tactical part of the game, the strategic PvP part of the game. I feel like I'm not just throwing my units out there to go into some type of murder bowl, right? I actually look forward and will look forward to micromanaging my units, to being able to impact the field of play on the war front a lot more. And that is the next stage of enjoyment. And so if anything, I hope that this video, even though yes, there are quite a few similarities between this one and one I did before, except this video, as I mentioned, really focuses more on the individual player's needs and wants. And talks about really what does that end game look for you, right? Because you can do all of those things before you consider, switching a faction maybe to do this or that, or because you want to use certain units, or you want to play a certain way and maybe just going with one or the other helps out a little bit more in that regard. These are things to think about as an individual player, right? Putting yourself first so you understand that now you'll be in a better position to do these things. And if you're focusing purely on development, you're going to be able to progress your account that much faster than someone who isn't. So again, there's a lot to consider and to think about, but this is my advice to you if you're someone new, or even if you've been playing for a little while, right, is really understand that, again, outside of some asterisk-like situations, depending on what comes up, an individual player's focus should be trying to get to these milestones, right, these baseline minimums, which is you maxing your buildings out, maxing your academy out, and then deciding what you're going to do from there. Because once you get to that max level, trust me, when you're able to have a higher level of income, of resources that's coming in, it just frees so many things up for you. And now you're able to basically put your full effort without feeling like, oh, well, I just got done fighting this week or 2 weeks long war. Now I have to replenish everything. And you don't have any building queues or research queues that are going on because all your resources basically were drained. Like, that is a part of the system, right? You have wars, right? And maybe I should have almost retitled this video to basically be, look, don't let the system play you. You play the system, which is essentially the game, right? The game is designed, and if you think about the way that CoD is designed, it is set up in that way where, because it's more so alliance-based, at least at the moment, right? For the not to say that it's not kingdom oriented, but there is a little bit more focus on alliances because of the way that the map is set up, because of the way that the emphasis is put on alliances, that it leans more in that direction. And so that's why I say that, right, the idea is like they basically put you into kind of this forced KVK. Then you look at the way they do merges, right? It's kind of like this forced KVK situation. The idea is to put you in a situation where there's a higher chance of fighting, right? And then the idea is, okay, well, maybe they'll spend money, right? I mean, that's the catch. And so, for me, the way I like to look at it is I would rather work the system than have the system work me, right? I want to work smarter, not harder. And if more players would know these things or may come to find these things out, they may realize for themselves, you know what, there's a lot of sense right now that your boy BN is spitting, and you know what, yeah, I get it, right? It would be better for me to focus on leveling and developing my account before getting into PvP. And then you think about, well, now that players are focusing that way, now the more and more players are going to reach their level 25s, and now they're able to enjoy a lot more PvP. Whereas before, it's really, more so the spenders that have those advantages because they're able to get to those milestones a lot sooner. And typically, usually you'll see those types of PvP situations break out usually before like a free-to-play player is going to go out and start just trying to tear someone's soul and life apart. It's just usually how it works. And it's because maybe they're a tier or 2-tier levels above where a free-to-play player is. And again, it is a vicious cycle. It's one of the reasons why even during my time when I played Rock, right, I always tried to either participate in the bare minimum amount of fighting that I needed to, or not at all, because I wanted to focus 100% of my efforts on maxing out my account, getting to max tech, because then I would be more beneficial, right, when the time came, or I would be able to be better utilized when the time came, I should say. Okay, that is it. That is my tangent. Take from it what you will. Again, I understand that I am going against the grain here because this is just not traditional, right? It's not something that you really ever hear people talk about. Other creators across other kingdom builders, right? I rarely hear these things talked about, or at least in this way. And so for me, it's just something I really believe. I think it's really important to share this type of mindsets and approaches and the way that the game, almost kind of keeps you grinding longer than needed because of choices and actions that some may take. And so, again, honestly, my ideal situation for almost every kingdom is I would love to see every kingdom just focus 100% on development. And then when the merged season came, then okay, right? Decide if you want to fight it out or if you guys want to have organized battles or any kind of, limitations or guidelines that you follow, or if it's just going to be, worst case scenario is kind of a free-for-all brawl. But having that opportunity to develop is going to keep more players active. It's going to keep the more alliances healthy and more alliances active in the game. And the kingdom, right, will reap those rewards and benefits as well. So again, man, it's all kind of a circle of life, right? Where's my Simba? Where's my Simba? With that being said, that is going to be it for me. Again, I hope you guys enjoy this video, right, with some similarities and some unique, some different approaches compared to a previous one that we did. I'd love to hear what you think. Right, let me know in the comments down below. That is going to be it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.